Welcome everyone to Yachting International Radio. You're with Karine Rayson from the Crew Coach on Your Mental Health. Today I have with us Daisy, and Daisy works in the industry. And the reason why I'm speaking to Daisy today is because I released a story not so long ago with regards to a gentleman who had lost his son to suicide. And this week was his anniversary that he lost his son, and his son chose to end his life in December. And as a result of that Instagram story, Daisy has reached out, and Daisy has been a follower of the Crew Coach for a long time. She's one of our founding members and plays a big part in our community, very active. And I'm so grateful for her to be with us today and for her to share her story. So welcome, Daisy.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to share my story. And I hope it can reach people who really needs some encourage. It would be a pleasure.
Thank you, Daisy. So what was it that you saw of the Instagram story that encouraged you to reach out?
Well, when I saw that everything that you shared, I felt that I should open my mouth. You know, I shared that I thought that I could make part of it, because when we are in that kind of situation of deeply sadness, we think that nobody else is there. It's just happening to us. You know, we feel like the whole world, it's everything unfair. And then when we see that there's more people going through this hard situation, we feel much more comfortable, you know, and our heart gets a little bit more calm, you know. And that's why I thought it would be nice. And then I wrote you everything that had happened to me, and yeah, that's why I felt that I could do something.
That's amazing. Well, so how did it all start for you with regards to, I know a bit of information, but to give the viewers and the listeners some perspective, what I hear you saying is that with grief and the things that we go through in life, our story may be different, but in some way our experience is the same. And that's what you're highlighting, is that you're not alone. Like with regards to trauma, yes, it can be a different experience, but the pain is very real for a lot of people. And that's how we can connect, is understanding what that pain actually feels like. So what happened for you with regards to that experience of pain?
Okay. Well, it all happened in Brazil. I had my own business with my fiancé. We started a small business, which was a small hotel and restaurant in the countryside. So, you know, I was 25 years old, so I had the whole life and all my dreams, everything with him. We were already living together. We had our house and, you know, like cars, the dogs, and our business. So we were basically one person, you know, because it was all together, and we had our dreams and everything, and the business were growing up like super good, you know. And then one day we decided to go for rafting, you know, with boats and in the river, you know.
Yeah, so how long ago was this?
It was in 2017, so 3 years ago.
Not long ago, yeah.
No. And then I remember that I woke up and I told him, listen, we are too tired. What about we just cancel it? And then he told me, well, but we have been working a lot. Let's go and have some fun as well. I was like, okay. And then we went, and actually it was with part of my family as well, you know, my aunt, my cousin. So it was kind of a family trip. And then we went there. My uncle, he was one of the instructors, you know, and then we started, and basically the river was super calm. It wasn't even super fun because the water was calm, you know, and it was supposed to be more excited
adventurous, and yeah,
adventurous, exactly. And then, well, one of the instructor, and she asked him, hey, come his name was Casio, come to my boat and then we can go down together at least for 10 minutes. And then he jumped to his boat. I remember that he wasn't super excited to do it, but then he did. And then they went together. And it was like this river in this company, they've been doing it over 20 years. And every day is like 4, 5, 6 boats that goes through, you know. And then suddenly the boat turned upside down. But it was supposed to happen now because it was the time that everybody jumps in the water and everybody has some fun, you know. So then my aunt, she looked at me, she told me, I cannot see them. I was like, how can you, how they are there? And then I saw the boat and this instrument that sorry, but I don't know the name in English. You know,
the paddle? I guess.
Yeah, the paddle, yes. And then I saw it and I couldn't see them. And then I was like, that's impossible. And then the other instructor went there and I called my uncle like, come on, I cannot see them and everything. And then you don't know what's going on. You cannot. And then he came like running, but it's a river, you know, you need to jump the rocks and everything and get there. So what happened is it was such a small place, like let's say 1 meter, you know, like this. But I don't know the river how it calls, but it sucks the person down, you know.
Yes, yeah.
And in this place, it was like over the 3 meters deep, you know. Because after that, the people were trying to do everything. It was like, my gosh, it's 3 meters deep, this place. And the water actually was pretty shallow. It was like 1 meter water. No, even less than that. Anyway, and then I started getting super nervous, of course. And then I started crying. Then I wanted to go there and to see if I could see him and blah, blah. But people held me back. And I was like, no, you cannot go. Wait, the instructor, they will figure it out. And then I just remember that I don't know if I can tell it, but I trust a lot in God. And then I just put my knees on the floor and was like, God, please, I cannot do a miracle, but I trust that you can. And then I was praying so hard and beating the rock and everything. And then 10 minutes passed and I was like, my gosh. But his arm actually, it was out of the water, you know, his arm, but he was stuck under the rock.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then finally they could rescue him. And then my uncle put him on the rock and tried to do all the, you know, the procedure and everything. And then he's like, he's not answering. Let's bring him to the land and everything. But then we were in the middle of the river. We had no phone sign, anything, internet, anything. And then I helped to put him on the boat. I'm sorry, it's a little hard, you know. And then I helped to put him on the boat, and we were trying to go as fast as possible until we see land and other people to help us. But the other instructor, nobody could find him in that time. So they stayed there looking for him. And some of us, we went with my fiancé, you know, and I didn't know if he was alive, if he was dead. It was something that we tried to imagine, but when you're in that situation, you don't know what to do, what is going on actually. And then we found the land and everything. We put him there, and then we started call the hospital and emergency and everything. And it took more than 1 hour for them to get there. And then it came like helicopter, ambulance, police, and everybody. But it was like 1 hour. And I remember that I was crying like, please stay here with us and everything, you know. And then, but I thought when they came with the shock, you know, when you do this shock, and then I was like, that's gonna happen, and he's gonna come back, and everything is gonna go back to normal. But no, and then they explained me that you need to have at least like a small sign for the machine to be able to release that. And then when they told me, no, there's nothing that we can do, and then I was like,
Gosh,
No, I
I don't want
and
to
then I
believe it.
was
Yeah,
completely gone. And then, when you see people putting like this plastic or something,
back.
I couldn't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then I was screaming, and my brothers were trying to, they got there at this time, they were trying to hold me. And anyway, like the life for me was
Mm,
gone, it was done, for me. I didn't want to do anything else, and it was really, 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 really hard.
my gosh. I'm so sorry, Daisy. It's so traumatic. How scary.
It is,
Especially
no,
being
it
part
was.
of it from the get-go, and to even, it sounded like your intuition was telling you something at the very beginning not to go that big.
Exactly. And the problem is, and then you feel guilty, you feel like I should have gone there, and why I did, why but then it's something that also we need to forgive ourselves, because it's not our fault,
Mm,
but then you feel so guilty, you feel like the worst person in the world and everything. And imagine, for me to tell to his family, he was there in that city living with me, and his whole family was like in another, like 600 kilometers away. So, and how to deal with this? And yeah, it was really, really hard situation. And but we need to forgive ourselves, otherwise, like, it's too heavy, it's something that
to
too heavy to
carry.
carry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then, how did you work through that process of forgiveness?
Well, um, first of all, I think, like, people, they try to help you, they try to tell you things, but nothing that they can tell you will make you feel better, So in that moment, I remember that, well, first of all, for a couple of days, I couldn't even uh, wake up alone, like shower. My mom was helping me, everything, because I was so weak, every
Um,
single thing. But then I spoke with one friend of mine. Actually, she's a little older, and she lost her husband as well. They were about to complete like 30 years, married and everything was planned as well, like travel and everything. And then she was kind of, I was identifying my situation with her, and then she was talking to me every day. She was like, Daisy, calm down, please. It's just the time. Nothing is gonna happen like to make you feel better.
overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the time, like day by day and everything. And then I was like, but that's not fair. I remember that I was crying with her every day. I was like, but that's not fair. Why those horrible things happen to good people, like he was just 32. We had the whole life. And I think when you talk to people that passed through it already, or people who are in the same situation as you, it helps you to feel a little better, as I told you at the beginning. But and then it was a little bit constant as well. I just thought, I cannot bring this heavy thing inside me. I need to forgive me. It wasn't my fault. For example, the car could have broken, and then it wouldn't be my fault. And then I thought maybe it was supposed to be, but I don't know why. uh, and I think in that time, faith was like what happened me the most, because it was like, first of all, I was super like upset with God and everything. It was like, you're not fair and everything. But after that, I think it was that what makes me overcome this, faith that everything happens for a reason, even though it's our not what we want, but everything happens for a reason. I think, like, God, it was like, when you're parents and you bring your kids to the hospital and they are crying, 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 but you know that it's for their own sake. They need to pass through it. And I felt in that moment like it was God bringing me to some hospital or something, and then I was crying like crazy, but he couldn't do anything. But in some way, it needs to happen.
So you're saying that it comes along with forgiveness, acceptance, and surrender.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
accepting the situation for what it is, but also letting
Exactly.
go.
Exactly. Accept that. Uh, I think faith, that accept that everything happens for a reason. Like it's not my fault. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't the instructor's fault or the river or anything. But I think it's something else, bigger that we can imagine. That's what made me accept. Exactly. Accept, I think, is the best word right now. Like you disagree, I disagree completely, but I accept what God wanted to do, and it makes me.
Okay, so now from what you've told me, what I understand is that you weren't in the yachting industry as yet. You
No.
decided to go to America and have some time out, and
Yes.
you spent some time with some friends to heal and recover. So what happened during that time for you? What came up for you, and how did you move forward?
Yeah. So what happened is I had my family for 1 month, for example. Sometimes my mom was sleeping over with me, sometimes my brother at my home. But I feel like everybody has their own lives. So I know that sooner or later they would, take care of themselves. And what about me, And I was in such a deeply sadness, and I was like, nobody will will pull me up, other than myself. I need to do it myself. And I felt like everybody was unfair. Like people still laughing, people still traveling, people still doing their own things, and your life is completely stopped and everything. So I just realized, like, nobody can cry my tears and nobody can laugh for me. I need to do it myself. And then I couldn't take care of the business together because it was in the farm side and everything, and it was kind of big just for me and dangerous because Brazil is a kind of dangerous, right? And then I was like, I need to start all over again, and what am I gonna do? And in that time, one friend of mine, she wrote me on Facebook. She was like, Daisy, I know what happened, and if you want to come here just to refresh your mind a little bit, and you can stay at my place and everything. And if at the moment I was like, no, I cannot do anything right now. But then I thought better, because to travel like this, to go to USA or to live abroad, it was one of my dream when I was younger, And then I spoke to my mom, and and then she was like, yes, you should do, definitely you should do, I'll buy your tickets and everything. I was like, no, okay, but wait, because my mom and my parents, they weren't super consoling, they were more rational. Like my mom, I remember one day I was crying, like sitting on the floor and crying, just my dog was with me, and she arrived and she told me, he's never gonna come back anymore, doesn't matter how much you cry, are you gonna go and do something or not? And I was like, oh my gosh, mom, and it made me feel like even more like I need to do something, nobody will do it for me, and then I decided to go and travel and visit that friend, and it was the best decision I ever made, in that moment, and then I went to USA, and then I was supposed to stay there just for 3 months maximum. But then I started like learning another language and keeping my mind busy, and everything was new, the whole environment. So it made me live in a different way, and my mind was busy all the time. I was learning a lot of new things. And it was in that point that I started bringing colors again to my
Your
life, because yeah, and it was I'm so grateful for that moment. And there I stayed for 1.5 years, and then I was afraid about to go back to Brazil, but my visa was about to expire. And then I had to leave. Yes, and then I went back to Brazil, and I had to go to our business to remove all the furniture and everything, and his motorcycle was there, everything was there, but I had to face it. I had to face it. I couldn't skip it. And then I went there with my mom, and we stayed there for almost 1 month fixing everything. And and it was hard, of course, as well. I was super afraid, but it was good as well.